The Australian Indigenous land acknowledgement ceremony, known as Welcome to Country, has undeniably caused division within Australia, and I think the reason is clear. It's a very racialised practice. According to Reconciliation Australia, Welcome to Country is delivered by traditional owners or Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples who have been given permission from traditional owners to welcome visitors to their country. Essentially, if you are not Aboriginal or Torres Strait Islander, it doesn't matter how many generations your family has lived on this land, or what connection, spiritual or otherwise, you have with the land, you are not permitted to give a welcome to country. Take, for instance, any other cultural practice across the world. I'll choose a Japanese one, only because I lived there for quite a long time. Tea ceremony. Now, I know tea ceremony has nothing to do with land acknowledgement. However, it is strictly a Japanese cultural practice. But anyone who wishes to learn its intricacies, no matter what their cultural background, is welcome to learn. I knew Australian ladies in Japan who studied tea ceremony. Their teachers were proud to pass on their knowledge. Obviously, men can do tea ceremony as well. The same thing with martial arts. I knew Australian guys who studied karate. Sorry, I'll be using the Aussie pronunciation here. And certainly the local Japanese teachers were proud to be teaching their culture to non-Japanese people. If a non-Japanese person became skilled enough in martial arts, they could certainly go back to their home country and open up a karate dojo and teach others. Japanese people would generally be very chuffed by this. They like seeing people around the world practice their cultural traditions. It makes sense, right? Nobody watching a karate demonstration gets upset by it, right? But the same can't be said about Welcome to Country. If my ancestors have lived in Australia for many generations, and I see myself as having a spiritual connection with this land, who can say that I don't, why should I not be allowed to welcome people to my homeland using a traditional Welcome to Country? I'm not even suggesting changing the practice. For instance, if there were schools run by Aboriginal Australians, at least initially, who taught the practice to anybody willing to learn, what is wrong with that? It's not like it's unteachable. They can teach me all the intricacies of Welcome to Country and how to perform it correctly and respectfully. I'd be doing it in the exact time-honoured way. Plus, they'd get tuition fees from me. Surely it's a win-win. The problem is, whereas many Japanese happily teach their cultural practices to non-Japanese people, many Aboriginal Australians seem to be at odds with anybody else learning their traditions. For example, the didgeridoo, one of the oldest musical instruments in the world. The ABC wrote a piece, from 2013 admittedly, but I'm sure it's still relevant today, stating, "It is significant that non-Indigenous people have been given permission from many traditional owners to play the instrument, although it is acknowledged that some Aboriginal communities feel allowing non-Indigenous people to play the instrument is cultural theft." Or more recently, in 2020, Mum slammed for buying didgeridoo as Father's Day gift. Sydney mum accused of cultural appropriation for buying didgeridoo as Father's Day gift. Sarah Stevenson made a tearful apology after being accused of cultural appropriation for wearing 2 long, colourful braids in her hair. She was brought to tears because she dared to participate in Aboriginal culture. Even more recently, in 2023, American comedian and television host Stephen Colbert has been called racist after using a didgeridoo during a sketch about Australia. The didgeridoo is an instrument considered sacred by First Nations people in Australia. It is generally accepted that any non-Indigenous person should consult a First Nations person to obtain permission and guidance before playing the instrument. Imagine if Japanese people did this. You must seek out permission to do judo. You must ask before you can partake in sushi. You cannot just freely wear kimonos. No, Japanese people seem to relish in others participating in their cultural practices. Of course they do. So what's wrong with us? By us, I mean Australians, more specifically a particular subset of Australians. Why are certain Australians so insistent that their culture belongs to them and only them, and get angry when other people try to participate? I think that's what's wrong with Welcome to Country. It excludes people. Not only is it restricted to only Aboriginal people, it's also openly saying that only Aboriginal people can welcome you to their country, as if it's not our country. Of course people will be upset by this. So, as I've alluded to in this presentation, I think the only way to fix this, the only way to bring all Australians together, is to allow everyone to participate in this practice. But I know many Aboriginal people won't want that, because if they allow others to do it, it essentially implies that Australia belongs to all Australians. And I think many Aboriginal activists don't want to accept that. They want this country to be theirs and theirs alone. Anyone who tries to take that from them, they will fight tooth and nail.